Here are all the things that I'm going to use to make a lace frontal wig: the canvas head, the bundles, the frontal, the cap, scissors, needle, threads, and T-pins. And this is the canvas head on the stand with the cap. You want to pin the cap right to the back like that and stretch it. And this is the frontal. I'm going to double it to make sure I find the center of the frontal. Just as you see me doing here, make sure to double it like this, and then I'm going to just put a little notch right here. So we know exactly where the middle of the frontal is. I'm also going to use a T-pin to just put right inside of it like so, to place it on the cap on the canvas head. Now there are 3 lines on the canvas head. The one in the middle will show you where the middle of the head is. I'm gonna stick the pin right there and stick one at the back so it doesn't move. The side you don't want to do anything, you're just gonna hold it and you're gonna pin it right there. And I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Turn this around. No stretching, no pulling. Just hold here and just pin it right down. Pin it right down. Now when you're finished, you're supposed to get the shape of a M in the middle right there. If it's not there, you're not doing it properly. Now the frontal should lay flat just like this. Should not have no form of hump. It should lay flat. Now it's time to start sewing. So when sewing on the frontal, I'm not going to sew through the elastic right here. I'm just going to pick up a piece of the material that make the cap to start sewing. And when you're sewing the bundles, that's the same thing you want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to sew. So I'm running the needle through, not right through the elastic, but just picking up some of the fabric, running it through. After I'm done sewing the part where the elastic is, then I'm gonna go right down on the fabric and sew and go right across until I'm at the other side. All right, so once I get to the other side, I'm gonna show you how I knot the needle so that the sewing does not riffle out. So the sewing stays in place like. Okay, so now I'm getting closer to the end of this side, and remember now we're not gonna sew right through the elastic. I'm gonna pick up a piece of fabric and just sew, and this is how I end it. I put the needle through, wrap it around the thread and pull it through. Now this is how the frontal should look after you finish sewing it. And now we're going to get into it. Should be flat and smooth, just as you see this, flat, no bumps. All right, so now we're going to get into sewing on the bundles, but before that I'm going to just take up the frontal, the hair on the frontal, and just wrap that up to get that out of the way, and then I'm going to start to sew the bundles. Now I'm using 4 bundles. Now remember, we're not going to start to sew through the elastic because it will cause the wig not to stretch. We're going to pick up a little bit of the fabric and sew. So we're starting from right here, pushing it through the weft of the hair. And guys, I am using 4 bundles, so I'm going to be doubling the first 3, and then the last bundle I'm going to sew it single. I'm going to open it and sew that one. So this is how I'm starting my sewing. As you can see, the bundle is doubled, and I'm not gonna go right through, as I keep saying, I'm not gonna go right through the elastic. I'm going to just pick up a piece of fabric above the elastic until I pass the elastic. Then I am going to go right into the fabric and sew. Alright, so we're gonna be doing the flip over method. We're not gonna cut the weft of the hair. So this is how you do it. This is how I do it. Hope you guys are seeing. So I left one part of the weft down and the other up. Stitch one part single and then flip it over and then continue to sew. So it's flat like that. I'm going to continue to do this all the way to the top. Remember now we're sewing 3 bundles doubled, and the final bundle will be sewed open or single. So guys, look how firm this is. So this is where I'm at, and I'm going to continue to sew right across like you see me showing until I get to the top. Alright guys, so this is how the wig is looking after all the bundles are in. Yeah, so I did the top open. I didn't double the bundle. I want it to be flat and smooth, and this is how the wig is looking. Stay tuned for part 2 of me installing this wig. So look out for part 2 for the installation.